Your secrets, if you really look at yourself, you would be speechless. What happened to being doctors and teachers? What happened to being your brother's keeper? Nowadays, kids more.
It's your boy Mr.BandClap, and we in the building with another podcast, y'all. It is hella nippy outside, so I'm not gonna be out here long. I just want to tell y'all that this podcast is gonna be about Oshun and the best friend turned wifey. This was a archetype that I totally forgot about, and I'm glad that one of my listeners brought it to my attention. So this is gonna be a real dope podcast. We got a lot to talk about, so let's get the show on the road. All right, y'all, so we back. Welcome to another BandClap TV podcast. First of all, before I go any further, I want to shout out all the people who, after my last podcast, when I promoted the restaurant that I DJ at on Fridays and Saturdays, Rockin Crawfish, a few of you all came out and supported. I met a few of you all, and I want to extend my appreciation that you all actually came out and rock with your boy, got me. So for all of my new listeners out there, shout out to my new subscribers that I've been receiving. Also shout out to Masterly Foolish, who's been re-uploading a lot of my podcasts to his channel, so now it's getting more exposure and it's getting more viewership by new faces and new ears. So for those who don't know, in the Orlando area, there's this real dope restaurant. It's called Rockin Crawfish, and I DJ there every Friday and Saturday night from 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. They have this little after hour spot that we do, and the food is amazing. Like I say, I know the head chef personally, so the food is definitely on point. They have real good seafood, lobster, shrimp, crabs, wings, anything that you would want drink wise. They got beers, they got alcohol. I mean, it's just a real good experience, and I appreciate that they allow me to DJ at that spot because it's real cool. And after this podcast, I would like to see even more of my viewers and my listeners and my supporters come out and vibe and rock out. You know what I mean? So my last podcast, I talked about Oya and Obanani, and I talked about the archetype of the bad chick and the wifey. Now, it was brought to my attention through one of my listeners that I left one archetype out, and I can't believe that I left this out because the Orisha that I'm going to talk about today fits that archetype perfectly, and I'm going to explain why. And that archetype is the best friend turned wifey, and the Orisha that perfectly fits that archetype is Oshun. Now, I know for me, a podcast talking about Oshun is very overdue. Out of all of the Orishas, Oshun is the closest to my heart because, I mean, let's face it, when you look at the mythology behind Oshun, it's not hard to see why she's the most desired Orisha and she's the most popular one between Oya, her, and Obanani. So before I start with my main topic, I gotta put this disclaimer out there once more. I'm not a Santero, I'm not a Babalao, I don't consider myself no type of priest or anything like that. So if you want to know the religious meaning behind all of these Orishas and things like that, I'm not the one that you should come to for that. There's a lot of people on YouTube, there's a lot of spiritualists who are in the religion aspect of it, and they can guide you and lead you as far as that, but that's not me. I meditate and I go to the source energies of these Orishas, and then I bring it down to a 3D earthly type of level so that the average person can understand who these Orishas are and what energies that they possess. So I did a podcast, actually this was my first podcast that I talked about the Orishas on, and it was called Shango and His Three Wives. And in that podcast, I talked about not only the journey that Shango went through romantically with Oya, Obanani, and Oshun, but this is also talking about a man of means in general and the types of women that he's going to come across through his romantic journey and the journey that he takes when he's looking for that right woman to marry. Now, I touched on the bad chick, which is most of the times what we will go to first when we're looking for a woman. And then once we get started by that, then we start looking for Obanani, which is the wifey. And with most guys, it'll usually end with Obanani, but that's not always the case because like Shango, there was a third woman that was in the picture. But the thing about it is this third woman was there throughout all of the other relationships. And that's where we're going to talk about Oshun. And I talked about her a little bit at the end of that podcast. So this would be kind of looked at as, I guess, a part 2 to that podcast. So for those of you who are freshly coming into Yoruba Santeria, for the most part, people would say that Oshun is a love goddess. She is a goddess of beauty. She's a goddess of fertility. Hence the fact that in her mythology, she herself ended up having twins, the Abeji twins, aka the Gemini twins, with Shango. So when most people work with her, they're usually working with her to either bring a lover in their life or to bring finances or riches or stuff like that into their life. But the one thing that I found out personally by going into her energy is that there is a huge misunderstanding, not only with Oshun herself, but also when we're talking about working with a lot of these deities that has to do with African spirituality. So the thing that I found out is when you deal with a lot of these feminine goddesses that deal with the divine feminine, you're dealing with something universal, but you're also dealing with something that's deep within. So translation, Oshun is a type of goddess that she'll help you in whatever way that you would want, but for those who get to know her on a deeper level would actually get the riches and things like that that she possesses. Now, what that means is when you deal with these goddesses and you're doing spiritual work and things like that, a lot of that work is going to be inner work. So yeah, she's the goddess of beauty and she's the goddess of love and all of that, but it's not like an outward thing, it's more of a inner thing. So yeah, as a result of you doing the inner work, a lot of that is going to manifest on a outside level where you can see it and touch it. But understanding what I know now, when they say that she is a goddess of love and beauty and things like that, what it's really saying is she is a goddess of inner beauty. All of her paths and all of her patakis and her stories and all of her religious paths, if you get initiated, most of them all deal with some level of self-love and self-beauty. And I learned about this because when I looked online and I'm looking at all of these pictures of what Oshun would be depicted as, I always see her with a mirror. So logically, I'm thinking some of the most beautiful women can be the most insecure. So I'm looking at it as a form of insecurity that you always have to have a mirror to look at yourself all the time, as if you don't have yourself convinced enough that you're beautiful. So you have to keep looking at yourself. But the beautiful thing about being a spiritualist is that these energies have no problem with correcting you if you have a misunderstanding about them. So I went into meditation and Oshun explained to me what that mirror actually signifies. And the way she explained it was, she was like, have you ever loved yourself so damn much that you almost have this infatuation, but it's with yourself though? So it's like you love yourself and you love the way you look in your skin and all of that so much to the point that you just can't get enough of yourself. Like you just can't stop looking at yourself because you love yourself that much. And in this realm that we're living in, something like that is almost impossible to fathom because the beauty industry, so to speak, is a very, very expensive and it's a very, very lucrative industry. It's an industry that creates insecurities within women, and it's also an industry that amplifies existing insecurities, because the key of advertising different makeup products and trying to sell them is to make you feel like your own natural beauty isn't good enough. So if you buy our makeup or if you buy our hair or something like that, then that's what's going to make you beautiful. But what Oshun teaches is that you don't need all of that, because if you love yourself and you're in love with yourself, then who gives a fuck what anyone else thinks? And to be honest with you, as men men, we respect those type of women a lot more. Another thing that Oshun teaches is that your heart should be so pure as to the point where you can find beauty in anything. Now, when you get into the different paths of Oshun, you'll see that she has some paths where she's a beautiful peacock, but there's also a form of Oshun called Ibukole, which she's actually this ugly buzzard type of creature. Now, I bet you're wondering like, what the hell is that? So let me translate it. Not every woman that's gonna be good for you is necessarily gonna look good to you. I mean, you may be all your life chasing these dimes and chasing these chicks that look good on the outside, but they're shallow on the inside. And then you meet this one chick, you know, she might be a little bit on the heavy set side, or she might be a certain body type or a certain facial type that if left to your own devices, you probably wouldn't even find that chick physically attractive. But as far as her being good to you and taking care of you and being that ride or die chick and always being there for you and stuff like that, she may have any woman that you've ever been with that looks good, she may have them beat. But just because she doesn't look a certain way, you end up passing that up. And then you look back on that, you know, later on in your life and you're like, dang, like I really did have a woman that was a real good wifey to me that I really could have married and could have had a happy family with, but I was just so gung-ho about chasing beauty, physical beauty, that I just overlooked this person that have always been here, and just because she didn't look a certain way, I didn't give them a chance. So these are all of the things in a nutshell that if you work with Oshun and her energy, she can teach you these things, and that's the real wealth. That's the real riches, and that's the real love. It all has to do with going within and loving yourself, and that's where you're gonna find your riches and all of that. That's what it means when in Yoruba it says that her messenger is a crocodile. So what that means is sometimes the love offerings that you may get, or sometimes the people who come into your life to do something good for you, they may not always look like the way that you would want them to look, or they may not always have a certain disposition about them that you would just comfortably accept on the outside. But if you get out of your ego and have an open heart and an open mind and give that situation a chance, there can be a abundance of positive results regarding that. So that's just a little bit about Oshun, just a little bit more. It's a lot that I can talk about these gods and goddesses, but I'll be trying my best not to make these videos super long. I've been getting a lot of flack about that, so let me get into what I really want to talk about. So as guys, I know all of us in one shape or form or another, we always had this real cool friend that was a girl, and she was one of those friends who, she wasn't ugly by a long shot. I mean, she looked good, but it was one of those type of things where maybe y'all grew up together. I mean, y'all went to school together and came up from preschool together or something like that. So it's just a situation to where y'all never looked at each other like that in a sexual way, but it's just one of those almost like a brother and sister type of relationship, because y'all known each other for so long and y'all been through so much that it's just one of those ride or die brother sister type of situations. And that was the situation between Oshun and Shango. They both grew up together, they came up together, you know, they was always cool with each other. But she was just one of those women that just kind of stayed in the background, because her being so beautiful, that can easily be taken a certain way. Meaning, sometimes when you have that real fine friend and you're a guy and you got this real fine friend that's a girl, there's some girlfriends that you're gonna get that she's not really gonna be welcome if y'all go out together, especially if you messing with a girl that's insecure about herself and she see that you got this real fine chick, but she's just your friend. Like, y'all don't want to have anything sexual to do with each other, y'all just real good friends. But to that girlfriend, she looks at that friend almost as competition, because it's like, yeah, you may be saying that now, but one tragic event has to happen and that switches over, and now you're looking at her like, yeah, she's sexy and all of that, and subconsciously she's feeling like that she can't really compete with her on that level. So it's not like you're gonna pick the girl over the friend, because at the end of the day, you and the friend have way more history than the girlfriend that you just started dating like a month ago. I mean, y'all know how it goes. So Oshun was that friend that every time Shango was going through something, or anytime Shango's wife was going through things, she would be the one that they would come to because she was just that listening ear. When Obanani and Shango got married, she knew the bond that Oshun and Shango had. So she didn't trip on that. Like, she knew that she wasn't gonna cross the line or try to get with him behind her back or anything like that. You know, they was just strictly friends. And even when you look at the patakis or religious parables of these Orishas, you see that Obanani and Oshun, they was very, very close to the point where Obanani would tell Oshun her secrets. So Oshun, she knew those deep insecurities that Obanani had. And Oshun was one of the girls that tried to warn Obanani not to listen to Oya. Because, I mean, come on now, who don't know their sister? And ain't no chick just gonna let you just marry their dude and they're not gonna have no type of vitriol against you. So Oshun, knowing this, she tried to warn Obanani about that, but she didn't listen, and that's why you have the whole breakup and all of that. Now, translation, some of us, because I know I definitely have, some of us guys, we always have that one friend that we don't have sex with, and it may just be because at the time we got all of these other fine chicks that we trying to get with, and that friend, you know, we may look at her as a homegirl, or we may just look at her compared to the girls that we're trying to get with. We may see her as like a 7 or something like that, like a 7 or a 6.5 or something like that. So with that being said, we're able to confide in that friend a lot more than we would confide in our girlfriend, simply because we know that that friend isn't going to have any bias or anything like that. But at the same time, she's a girl, so she's going to be able to pinpoint, and she's going to be able to tell us if something isn't right with one of the girls that we're trying to spit at, or one of the girls we're trying to get with her. She'll be that filter to let us know if that woman is the right woman for us. Now, sometimes we listen and we dodge a bullet, sometimes we don't, and we got to face the consequences. But we can't say that we weren't warned. So that's the type of relationship that Oshun and Shango and Oshun and Obanani had. You know, she was just that listening ear. She didn't have no type of bias, you know, no type of ill or malintent. But on the flip side, since she's around both of them, and she was also around Shango while he was messing around with Oya, her sister. So while she's trying to keep Oba and Shango together, she's starting to learn different things about Shango. She starts to learn his favorite foods, his favorite music, his favorite things that he likes to do in his spare time, like different things that most men fall out of a relationship with a woman because we feel like they don't know us. Oshun was in the cut and she was studying. She's like, okay, so I know that he likes okra and this, and I know he likes this type of music and all of this stuff. And I mean, it helped out because she was Shango's best friend, because it's like she knew the nigga like the back of her hand because they came up together. And now she knows when it comes to a woman, what things that he likes in a woman, the things that he won't tolerate in a woman. She knows all of this now. And like I said, even in the religious text, it says that Oshun is the only Orisha that knows the secrets of Obanani. So when you look at Oshun in this sense, she kind of got the best of both worlds right now. Because I mean, she knows the secret to being a wifey. She knows the different wifey duties that Shango likes, but she also knows the freaky and seductive, sexual, sensual side that Oya would give to Shango and drive him crazy. So she also knows how to do that too. So looking at it from the outside in, we'll be like, damn, why didn't Shango just get with Oshun starting off? The same way we would look at a dude that got this real fine ass chick on his arm, but they just friends. And we like, look, y'all just need to just stop playing and just get married. Because we can obviously see that y'all meant for each other and y'all just playing around. But we like, nah, you know, she the homegirl, y'all mean, you know, she just a friend, you know, we just cool like that. So that's how their relationship was. But as time went by and he ended up breaking up with Obanani, which really broke him, and then he ended up breaking it off with Oya, and it just got to the point to where Shango was just this broken man emotionally. So as any broken, emotionally fucked up man would do, he went over to Oshun's house to vent and get some things off his chest. Now, anyone who's seen legit pictures of Oshun depicting how she would look, you would see that Oshun don't really wear a lot of clothes like that. You know, she's just free and she love herself and love her body and all of that. So she don't really wear like a whole lot of clothes, which in any other situation that wouldn't matter, because if you got a girl but y'all just friends, you know, it's just certain things that you just don't even think about. Like you could see your friend with basketball shorts on and a tank top with no bra and you wouldn't even be tripping. But in this situation with Shango, he wasn't all emotionally there. And sometimes when we're not quote unquote emotionally there in a situation, we tend to not think straight. especially when we got in our minds that all these other chicks that this girl done warned me about, they all did exactly what she said. But in spite of that, she's still there for me and she's still beside me. So when she came to the door looking all sexy and caring and loving and all of that, it kind of opened up some other type of feelings. And needless to say, at that moment, he didn't look at her as a friend no more. And as the Pataki says, they made love for hours. And the thing about it was, what made them so good as a couple is that they completed each other. I mean, he liked drumming, she liked dancing. All the different foods that he liked, she knew how to cook it. He was the thunder, she was the electricity. I mean, they just worked very, very well together. That's why they ended up having twins together and getting married. And I'm pretty sure that there's like 100 different movies with that same plot, that same love story type of plot, but at least you know where it came from. Now, the thing about it is, in real life, most of us aren't that lucky to be able to quote unquote marry our best friend. It's kind of one of those rare occurrences that you may see on TV, or you may read it in a book, or you may see like a celebrity or something like that. I think J. Cole married his high school sweetheart, and I think Kendrick did too, if I'm not mistaken. But those are usually the best marriages, and usually these are the longest marriages, because you get that bond to where you know each other so well that there's really not a problem or a conflict that y'all can't get through together, simply because y'all know how each other think. So when you look at the 3 marriages that Shango had, you see 3 different types. You got the arranged marriage, which was Shango and Obanani. You have the forced marriage, which was Oya and Shango. And then you have the true love type of marriage, the marriage that a lot of people want to have. But I mean, you got to be able to see if you have that type of friend around you that really cares about you and things like that, and kind of plant that seed and see where it goes. All right, y'all. So that's my podcast. Thank y'all for listening. If y'all would like to, because I really feel like I could have went in a lot more about this, but I'm trying to make these videos a lot shorter. But if y'all want to hear a part 2 about this, let me know. I'm still DJing at Rockin Crawfish every Friday and Saturday night from 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. So if you want to hear some good music, eat some good food, and vibe out with your boy, then come out. The address is 5040 West Colonial Road for all of my people who live in Orlando, Florida. Again, it's 5040 West Colonial Road. And man, music wise, a lot of new things that's coming. I promise y'all, I got some new music that's coming, that's on the way. Just got to get some other things together, but just keep on the lookout with that. Make sure y'all like and share my videos. Shout out to Masterly Foolish. Shout out to all of the other subscribers that I have that tell others about my videos. I really appreciate it. And until next time, BandClap TV, we out.